Today we have to today we have to discuss on the agricultural policy and its instruments. So first of all, already in the last three classes, they explained the what are the scenario of agricultural development in India. So why the first of all you understand the why these agricultural policies are need. So what is the importance of these agricultural policies? So why these different types of agricultural policies they are introducing the government? So in different areas, in different sectors, there are different types of the agricultural policies they are introducing. So first of all, we understanding why these policies are introduced. So what is the basic problem they are facing in the agriculture sector in India? So agriculture is the largest provider of livelihood in rural India. So it contributes 25% to India's GDP. So this is the basic situation they are facing in the agriculture sector in India. So it is still depend primarily on the monsoon. So nowadays they are develop the different types of the facilities to the agriculture sector. So now this can be changed. So the growth in agricultural production has been stagnant for the past several years. So the drought in the north and western parts in the 2009 created shortage in supply of food grains. So these are the basic problem they are facing in the agriculture sector. So the overcome these problems, their India is Indian government they compulsory introducing in the different types of policies. So basically, there are so many factors that are affecting the agriculture sector. So that is small and fragmented land holdings and dependence on the monsoon and lack of international competitiveness of its produce and inadequate availability of electricity, fertilizers, irrigation, and pesticides. There are poor access of the farmers to good roads, market infrastructure, and transportation of the goods and conversion of agricultural land for residential and other land use purposes. So these are the important factors that are affecting to the agriculture sector. So based on the these things, they are very important introducing in the different types of the agricultural policies. So, what is the management in agricultural planning? So, this is the a very important major shift from the programmatic to the macro management mode of the planning and implementation to operationalize regionally differentiated strategies and to ensure that limited financial allocations they are finally timely and effective application in the intended areas. There are different types of technologies. There are missions. They are involved in the agriculture sector. So these technology missions for integrated development of horticulture in the northeastern states, including Sikkim, was launched during 2001 to within an outlay of 239 crores. So there are different types of schemes. They are addressed all issues relating to the development of agriculture in the region, covering the research and development and marketing also. There are different types of missions. They are extended to the hilly states, that is Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, and Jammu and Kashmir. So there are central sector schemes on technology mission for coconut was launched for implementation in the during the 2001 and 2. So there this is the basic backdrop of the why these agricultural policy they are introducing in our India. So first you can see the what are the major objectives they are introducing in the these agricultural policy, and what are the planning, and what type of sectoral needs, their prospective, their integration of the these formation of agreement agricultural policy, and what are the instruments they are using in agricultural policies, so that can be they are important. So you can see in the beginning of the planning time in India, agriculture has been there are a number of policies, there are changes in the first decade of planning. And India, they are faced severe food crisis, and accordingly, policies focus on enhancing the food grain production through intensive agricultural programs. Their potential of enhancing agricultural productivity was very high. The government of India, they are adapting suitable supply side and demand side policies to bring out green revolutions, and supply side policies they are compressed land reforms, developments, and new farms technologies, and price supporting, and institutional credit, and public investment in irrigation and other infrastructure. So where the demand side also they are policing consisted of the state interventions in the agricultural markets, and public procurement of the food grains, and operations of public distribution systems. These are the in the planning first 5 year plan to the right now. So there are different types of sectors, their concentration, and different types of policies they are preparing to protect the farmers, and what area they are in the low growth in the agriculture sector, what that next 5 year plan their concentration on that areas, and they can introducing in the different types of the policies. So there, these policy intervention, there persist of the effort of agricultural scientists and extension workers, and enthusiasms and dynamics of the farmers in the adoption of modern farm practices. They are instrumented in the agricultural development. So, in order to understand the any subject, it is the essentially therefore first define the agriculture and then policy to the comprehensive the meaning of agriculture policy. Their agriculture is made from two important Latin words. There that is agri meaning that is the field, and culture is the meaning is the cultivation. So these two Latin words they are taken from the Wikipedia, and they're the literal meaning of the agriculture, tillage and cultivation of the soil of field. There practice the agricultural compress all activities related to production of food and feed, fiber, fuel, and other products through the systematic raising of plants and animals. The policy refers to a plan of action to guide decisions and achieve predetermined goals. So it may apply to any public or private sector institutions and organizations and groups. They are very important issues in the policies. The in the context of public policy, it compresses the actions of the government and the intentions that determine those actions. So in the first in 1978, the policies can be introduced. That is a set of interrelated decision taken by the political actor or a group of actors concerning the selection of the goals. So these policies are a plan of action initiated by political party in government, which is undergoes on the reforms there and changes by the interacted actors. So these policies are in there involving in the non-governmental organizations and academic institutions and the social service organization and press and media. There are different types of different ministries of the central government frame their own policies and amend the periodically to make the compatible with the changing of economic scenario. So the agriculture and policy, now do we able to understand the meaning of agricultural policy. Agricultural policy, they compress the national approach to agriculture development and a set of activity to implement it. The policy implemented with the view to achieve the specific objectives. So before they are introducing any policy, first they set the what are the main objective to framing of the these policy. So and what type of farmers they are protected. So what type of assistance they have to provide, so that can be they are important in the specific objectives of the policy. So here the objective may be range from the improving farm productivity, profitability, and sustainability. So these are the very important to employment generation and price stability, cross diversification, and food security, and managing and regulating the food supply. So they have a yeah, various policies, they are instrument to achieve these objectives. So their government wants to encourage the farmers to produce more food grains to achieve the food security. So this is the main problem of the government. So in this side, how they are inspiring, how they are motivating to overcome the food grains problems in our country. So in this side, they are moving and forwarding and inspiring the farmers to their framing the different types of the policies. They are subsidizing the farm inputs or through providing the price support. So and collectively used for a bundle of policy related to the agriculture sector. So there are land tenures and land reform policies and price policy, trade policies, marketing policies, and credit policies. There are different types of policies. There are in the whatever any points of the agriculture sector, in that sector points, they have to develop the different types of the policies. So these policies are formed by the government to achieve the specific goals related to the farm sector. So their agriculture in India is a state of subject apart from the national agriculture policy. The state government also prepare their own agricultural policy and also regulate the supply of various agricultural product through some rules and act and regulations. In that, their agricultural production marketing committee, so their private traders and agri-business companies are not allowed to directly purchase farm produce from the farmer. So they are very important policy. They are initiative to aimed at this act. Their agricultural business companies may directly buy from the farmers. So this is the main in all areas. No, not for the one particular areas. So in all areas, the government of India, they are concentrated and they are introducing in the policies at every time. Every farmer they have to support. So main objectives in these policies are in the their price protection for farmers and managing price volatility arising due to the greater global integration of Indian agriculture. And next one is conservation and management and rational use of land, water, and other natural resources to ensure the sustainability of agriculture. So next one is developing cost effective and energy efficient farm technologies. So strengthen rural infrastructure to support faster agricultural development and food and nutritional security to meet countries' requirement. So ensuring economic viability, small and marginal farmers in particular, and dryland farming in general. So they are advocate and timely supply of quality farm inputs. So diversification of farming towards high value horticulture and livestock products. And next, removing regional imbalances in agricultural development. So ensuring a greater public-private partnership in the agricultural development and ensuring free flows of agricultural products and across the states and regions. So these are the very important objectives of the agricultural policies. Any agriculture policy, the faming, they are compulsory. They have to based on these objectives, they have to frame in the any agricultural policies. So how they are planning and how they are these plannings to the policies they are linking, but that is the very important agricultural planning and policies. They have to study the concept of agriculture policy. So in order to planning and policy links, their economic planning may be defined as a deliberate choices of mobilizing and directing public and private resources by some public authorities. Their economic development, this can be done by the there are two important ways. One is the directly making the public investment in the economically backward regions, and second one is the encouraging the private entrepreneurs to invest the backward regions. So these the two ways are the very important and planning to the and link to the policy. So their private investment can be mobilized through inductive planning and the planning through the marketing mechanism. So the government can give some incentives in the form of tax, concessions, and subsidies to those entrepreneurs who are willing to invest in the backward regions. So this is the directly or indirectly, they have to plan and planning, and they have to link with the policy. So their agriculture planning is a part from the overall economic planning. It is prepared and immediately um, yeah, implemented by the government to achieve the their well objectives in the given time frame. So these objectives may compress their total factor productivity in agriculture and rising income, employment on small and marginal holdings, and achieving self-sufficiency in food production of soil health and fertility, and diversification from several crops, the high value of horticulture and livestock production, and rising productivity and profitability of dryland and rainy fed farming. So they have their agriculture policies indicates the approach and perspective of the government. Their development of agriculture planning is implementation aspects of it. There are different types of the plans there to made achieve the policy goals. So policy is actually the ideology of the government related to the particular sector or subsector of economy. So the ideology and perspective may change over time. So uh, over time due to the changing domestic and international scenarios. So the commencement of the WTO, so World Trade Organization, the government of India agricultural policy was more protective, and agricultural imports and exports were restricted through various controls, including their license and quotas, marketing controls for sake of a domestic food security. So the foreign trade in agricultural products was mainly done through public and cooperative sectors. They are very important, significant policy. They are changing the quantitative restrictions on agriculture imports. They have to lift the market and the market access of the foreign agricultural products. So at the same time, agribusiness companies are being encouraged through indicative planning for making investment in agriculture, research and development. Their inputs and marketing, storage, processing of agricultural products. The Agricultural Product and Management Committee Act has been embedded by the most of the states to enabling the directly purchasing agricultural produce from the farmers by passing the regulating and state of the diesel. So these forced WTO policy changes in India, Indian agriculture have linked with the changing outlook of agriculture planning in the current millennium of LPG. So LPG means liberalization and privatization and globalization. So greater emphasis has been laid on public-private PPP in the planning of agricultural development. So when they are coming from the reforms, they are introducing the LPG concept. They are great emphasis on the PPP model. They are planning to develop in the agriculture. So they are very important policies and planning, and highly they are interlinked sometimes, and the two words are interly changeable. They are used in the another side. So they are used in combination such as policy planning. However, these two terms differ in the sense that the first refers to the approach of outlook of the government. So it is planning through which the policy prospect of government is implemented. A policy may have a long term or short outlook of the government. They have a initial decade post independence India. Food security was the major goal of the agricultural policy. So the agriculture planning was made to grow more food, and during the planning period up to 60s, India's with the assistance of international institutions, organization, foreign governments, and made huge public investment in setting of the uh, assistance of international institutions and organizations. They have a agriculture universities and creating surface and groundwater irrigation infrastructure, producing chemical fertilizers and high yield varieties at the high yield seeds, and to enhance the food grain production, especially production of wheat and rice. Their price support was also used as a policy instrument to encourage farmers to grow more wheat and rice crops in a rural areas in India. So these are the some important their planning. In the planning, their areas they are identifying, and when they are identifying these areas, they are linked with to the policies. So that is very important. So another one is the sectoral perspective, and how they are integration of these sectoral perspectives in our agricultural development. That is the most important. So agriculture sector compress crop husbandry and animal husbandry and agroforestry, sericulture, poultry, fishery, and other allied activities. Within the crop husbandry, there are several subsectors such as food and cash crops, plantation crops, horticulture, and maximize the farm income and make optimum utilization of a available land, water, and manpower resources. So it is a better integration of various agricultural sectors and subsectors in the practices. Most of these activities the interlinked to support each other. Um, these are the very important subs one sector to the another sector. They are linked between their integration, and finally we have to reach in the agriculture development. So in mainly their dairy products are are of a high demand due to the urbanization and rising per capita income and changing consumption pattern, and the proper integration of crop and husbandry with animal husbandry is warranted for the achieving sustainable income from the agriculture. Similarly, in the poultry side, poultry farming can be useful activity for small and marginal farmers also. They have to motivate, and they move to the one sector to the another sector, and that sector also very important to develop in the agriculture sector. So this is the very important integration of the subsectors of the agriculture sector. So how these subsector policy they are integrating in the agriculture policy, that is very important. So agriculture they are compress various sectors and subsectors to augment the farmers' income and to make efficient use of available resources. There is a need to evolve policy that properly integrate all related agricultural activities. So the composition of domestic and global demand, they have to increase the these intersector integration development. So these initiatives may be implemented separately for food crops and feed crops and industrial crops and traditional exports and national agricultural policies of India, and their great importance to food grains and sugar cane crops due to the strong political lobby in the favor of these crops. They have there are enormous first harvest losses in the case of fruits and vegetable crops. They have a loss estimated as high as the 50,000 crores per annum. So therefore, national agricultural policy has to focus on only development of horticulture and subsector, but it should be coordinate within the industrial policy related to the agro processing industries. So you can see in the some data in, after reform period right now, what is the trend and the composition value of output of agriculture sector in the different crop areas. So their total food grains, how much of they are increasing, and the cereals and pulses and oil seeds and sugar canes and cotton. There are tremendous there are changes and growth we have to achieving the based on these policies. So it is very important. You can see in the these data, and you can easily identify that the what is the trend of these food, how much of the growth can be achieving in these different areas, and different food grains growth in the development in our Indian economy. So there these things are the very important. At the same time, the growth of horticulture and livestock products is demand drive. Income elasticity of demand for these products is much higher than the cereal crops. At the same time, the government is releasing the necessity to diversify the agriculture economy in particularly, and the rural economy in general, for creating additional income and employment opportunity for the rural workers, and to check their undesirable exodus to urban areas. And recently, the government of India has taken some important policy initiatives for the development of horticulture, and forestry and oil seeds and biofuel crops, and launching the national horticulture missions and national bamboo missions and national oil seed missions. There are different types of the mission they are introduced and established in the development of the agriculture. So these, especially in the expenditure elasticity of demand in the major food crops, they are very important. They are developed in the rural and urban areas in our agriculture sector. So at the same time, the policy framework is the recent corporate sector proposal for leasing in of 24 million hectares of the cultivable wasteland and governing biofuel plants. This is very important to moving needs to examine not only from energy policy point of view, so they are very important. They are need to the inter-sectoral development in the integration in the agriculture sector. So another important agriculture policies, their integration with the other related policy, that is integration of agriculture with land and water management and with ecosystem conservation is essential for both environmental and sustainability and agricultural productivity. So therefore, the agriculture policy is required to be properly integrated with the governmental policy. So water resource policy, forest policy, they are integrating with the other related policy, the agency in charge of them. There are rural development policy, trade policy, labor policy, credit policy, fiscal policy, and proper coordination with the agricultural policy. There are different types of policies. They are linked with the one sector to the another sector and one policy to the another policy. So these are the potential of the generating electricity from the agriculture waste and sugar industry alone has the potential to generate about the 5,000 megawatts through co-generation plants fueled by the biogas. The industry also has the potential to produce about the 2 million liters of ethanol from the molasses, which can be blended with the petrol to run the automobiles in the in different sectors, not only food grain side. So in their concentration on the, so whatever varieties we have to develop, so that can be their increasing and extending the our economy in that sector also. We are providing employment and generating income. They are, when they are generating income, automatically they have to more value they are contributing to the agriculture sector to the in our GDP. So that is most important things of the these policies. So there are trade off between the energy production, food and feed production. They are very important, producing directly from the sugarcane juice as being a practiced. They are in the different they are identifying the what type of methods they have to follow in the developing countries and developed countries. That can be they are implementing in our country also. We have to achieving in that side also where development in the agriculture sector. So in the formation of these agriculture policies, what type of instruments they are using and the preparation of these agriculture policies, so that is most important. So in the instrument side, you can see in the manager or actor can change or manipulate or order to produce a desired effect. So it is economic quantity there, such as a interest rate, or it may be part of the institutional framework, such as nationalization of the banks and instruments. Instruments, therefore, it is a means by which the policy objectives are produced. So their effectiveness of the an instrument in achieving the intended policy objectives may not only to depend on the changes in the instrument itself, but also how the instrument is used in conjunction with the complementary and supplementary instruments. So they are very important instruments. There are different policies they are framing in the using of these instruments. So here there are some important major policy instruments are there. So that is first instrument is the input subsidies. So this is the one of the most significant instrument of the agriculture policy. So is a subsidy given to farmers on agriculture inputs. Their farmers are encouraged to argumenting by the application of the subsidized inputs for rising crop sales and production. So this is the main objective can be to make the farm produce cheaper for domestic consumers and to provide cheap raw materials to agro industries. Another objective can be they have to boost up the agricultural export. So at the time of green revolution period, so input subsidies were provided to farmers for achieving self sufficiency in food grains. So subsidies on fertilizers, power and irrigation are the major component of the total subsidies given to the farm sector. So input subsidy, this is the first instrumentation in the agriculture policy. So when we have to give these input subsidy to achieve the policy goals, so the subsidy given to the farmers for unit of an input is equivalent to the fall in the price of input by the amount of a subsidy. So subsidies provided by the US to their farmers indirectly benefit to the large agribusiness companies, which get the cheap farm produce for making processed food to be supplied at a competitive price in the domestic as well as the global market. So when you have not providing in the input subsidies, they have to produce, but their high price they have to sell in the market. So anybody cannot be interested and cannot be enjoying the that products in the markets. So in that case, their difficulty they are producing these goods and services to the market in the agriculture sector. So input subsidy is a very important instrument in the policy making. So it is pertinent to note that input subsidy as a policy instrument has become a questionable on environment, equity, uh, efficiency grounds. So they are in the case of that is the input side, and the same in the same time fertilizers the subsidy is directly given to the fertilizer factors through retention price scheme which ensures an 8% margin over cost for the companies in order to improve efficiency in the delivery mechanism. Fertilizer subsidies can be given directly to the farmers instead of their open market and other for the regulated market subsidies. Fertilizers should be they are sold to cooperative societies. In what area and what point we have to give these subsidies, automatically they are protect to the farmers and they are easily they are doing in the agriculture sector in the rural areas. So they are and this is the very important first instrument in the agriculture policy to the input subsidy. So second one is the price support. So price support is their another important instrument. So it is a widely used instrument in most of the countries. So in India also there any agriculture policy, these price support is the they are utilizing and achieve the multiple policy goals. They are including price stabilization and income support. So note that these supply of a product is positively associated with its price. So therefore, most effective way of enhancing the production of a crop so is rising its a price. So um, the input cost to the farmers can be reduced through input subsidy. So at the same time, the government can fix the minimum support price for agricultural output to ensure a reasonable income to the farmers. So if market price of the price supported crop is below the MSP, it became the responsibility of government to procure the produce from the farmers. So it is the policy goal is to enhance the farmers' income from the agriculture. Price ratio of outputs to inputs must be greater than one. So it is profitable in agriculture would increase only when the index of output prices grows faster than the index of input prices. So in India, there are different types of the Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices recommends the minimum support price for various agricultural crops. So these minimum support price policy was initiated within the objective to provide remunerative prices to the farmers, procure food grains for maintaining food security. So the commission estimate the cost of cultivation that covers all the items of expenses, including the imputed value of self-owned inputs. Their 10% profit margin is to added in the cost to decide the price. Sometimes the government set the MSP more than what is recommended by the commission. So this is the very rare case that happen when the farmers lobby has more stakes in the government. So these MSP policy has been quite successful in achieving the food security. So to achieving the crop diversification and providing remunerative price to the farmers. So there, however, there these announcements are MSP for the crops like core cereals and pulses and oil seeds and became meaningless if the government does not to make the provision of their procurement. So these MSP policy are mainly valid by the farmers for few states. So these few states are the procurement wheat and rice is made. So their FCI, Food Corporation of India, procure approximately 95% of wheat from the. There are three important states, that is Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, and 85 to 90% of rice from five states, that is Punjab, AP, Haryana, UP, and Tamil Nadu. In these MSP beneficiary states, income transfer to the larger farmers are the approximately 10 times. So these are the very important. They are times lost to the marginal farmers in the to announcing of these MSP in these states. So this is the very important instrument in the agricultural policy in the price support. So proper price they are announcing to the these food crops. So automatically all are they are benefiting to the farmers in the rural area. So these are the very important instrument in the agriculture policy. So next one is the next instrument is the food security. So in the food security, food sorry, not a food security, food subsidy. So government subsidy on food grains to the consumers can also be used as a policy instruments. So these food subsidies targeted for poor people to ensure their food security. It can also be used to increase the farm income. So here it is generate more demand for the food grains, indirectly benefiting the growers. Actually, food subsidy in India has a three components. So that is consumer subsidy, implicity producers, and producer subsidy, and subsidy pertaining to the maintenance of buffer stock. So these three very important components of the food subsidy, that is consumer subsidy depends on the quantity of a food grains distributed through the public distribution system. So at the same time, the buffer norm level is the price for the food security. The carrying cost is the excess of the stock over and above norms may consider as a kind of the implicity subsidy producers. So the food subsidy also another important instrument to forming of the agriculture policy. So another one is the direct payments. So direct payments are given to the farmers to achieve the multi-functionality objective of agriculture. So to design and maintain the agriculture output within the predefined output quota, common agricultural policy of European Union uses these instruments. So these payments are directly transferred from taxpayer to the farmers without rising prices to the consumers. So the main objective of direct payments to the farmers may be achieve price stability, protect farm income, and conserve the soil. India, this instrument is not a globally used in the this direct payment system. So this is the another important instrument. Next one is the next very important instrument in the agriculture, that is the warehouse receipts. So the system of warehouse receipts is used to specific instrument of a support to market organization in various countries, including in India. So there are different commercial banks refinanced crops through warehouse receipts. Their intervention agency used a system of bills of exchange whereby the farmers and public warehouse buyer and bank acted as a participant in the transaction. So warehouse receipts also another important instrument in the agriculture policy. Next, infrastructure services. Um, State investment in irrigation, that is land improvement, soil, water conservation, roads, electricity, water and patcher land improvements are the major implements of the infrastructure services. They are general services provided to producer either free at subsidized cost, include research, training and extension services, inspection services, and um, pest and disease control services also very important in the rural areas. So infrastructure services can be provided in the rural areas automatically. They have to start with the development in the agriculture sector. So this is also infrastructure service, also one of the important instrument in the agriculture policy. Next, exchange rate management, and these exchange rate management can be applied as a instrument to achieve the policy goals. The most these exchange rate management you have to apply in the developing countries. Appreciation of domestic currency and the foreign currency may have a negative impact on agriculture. So whereas the depreciation of currency would have a positive impact. So these are the very important in import coastal, and thus reduce the flow of imported goods in the domestic market. So these instruments largely depends on the elasticity of imports and exports to reference to the change in the value of domestic currency. So this is the another important instrument in the agriculture policy. Next, agriculture trade regulation. So trade regulation compress quotas, import duties, and export subsidies applied to the imports and exports to increase or decrease amounts trade internationally and thus increase or reduce the domestic prices. So this is the done by to protect the farmers from the onslaught cheap agricultural imports. So exports were also regulated to ensure adequate supply in the domestic markets to increase the post WTO period or QR agriculture product have been the lifted. So agriculture trade regulation also very another important instrument in the policies. So there are other instruments also there. So that is agriculture policy goals. They are bring various acts, rules, and regulations. And the Land Reform Act was enacted for making reform in the land tenure system for equitable distribution of land. So this is the main important objective of economic side. So that is to reduce poverty and increase agricultural productivity. So agriculture productivity is a very important thing. So that is a whatever it may be instruments we have to use and apply in the agricultural policy. So the final agenda and we reach the to reduce the poverty and increase the agricultural productivity. So this is the in the Essential Commodity Act empower the central and state government to impose restrictions on the storage and improve movement of the commodities such as cereals, pulses, and edible oils and another commodity products as the um, promoting to the development in the agriculture sector. So another important instrument is institutional credit to farm sector. So this is the very important. In the late 60s, banks were nationalized so that more credit facility would like to extend it to the farm sector. So these agriculture sector was priority sector for the purpose of disbursement of bank credit. So no need of emphasize that the access to institutional credit is one of the most vital determinant of agricultural development. So these are the some important instruments in the agricultural policies. So objectives at the same time intersectoral integration at the same time instruments. So what are the importance of that instruments to including in the agricultural policies. So these finally agriculture policies comprise the national approach to the agricultural development. There are set of activities to implement it. There are national agricultural policies. They are broadly consist of the bundle of policies framed by the government to achieve the specific goals that are related to the agriculture. So this is the concept of policy and planning are highly they are interlinked. The first reforms to the approach of the government, whereas the later refers to the execution and extension of the implementation of that approach. So there are different types of the document, the farmer's income, and to make efficient use of available resources, there is a need to have a better integration of various agricultural sectors and subsectors in the farm practices. So there are number of policies, there are instruments may be used to achieve the policy goals, price support, public procurement of food grains, input subsidies and fertilizers, power and irrigation, and public investments in agricultural infrastructure are the major instruments So these instruments can be um, complemented and supplemented within the trade policy instruments, such as quantitative restrictions on imports and exports. There are some custom duties and state trading and exchange rate manipulation may also be used as instruments to improve the competitiveness of countries' agricultural exports. So these are the very important amendments and acts, rules, and regulations to achieve the different types of the goals of agriculture. So these are the very why the policies are framed. What are the importance of these policies? So in these policies, what are the objectives? So and based on that objective, how we have to frame, and in what point we have to protect the farmers. So that is the very important things in the instruments and interlinkages and objectives of the agriculture. So next you can see in the agriculture sector goals. So and policy options. So what are the sector goals and what are the policy options? So in the sector goals, there are so many sector goals are there, but some goals are very important. That is self-sufficiency in food and livelihood security and income generation and supply of cheap raw materials to agri-business and agri-industries. So multifunctional goals. So these are the very important agriculture sector goals. At the same time, in the subsector also there, horticulture and livestock. So there are different types of the components they are using in the agriculture, different agriculture policies. That is inputs and incentives, investment in agriculture, and regulations and controls, and center state roles in the promotion and promoting of these development agriculture. So these things are the also very important in the sector goals and policy options. So agriculture there still play a dominant role in the national economy. It is very important source of the livelihood of about 58% of total workforce of the country. Their special significance for low income and low skilled and vulnerable section of the rural society. So in this agriculture sector goals, they are set the agriculture sector set the different number of goals are there. So, but some goals they are implementing and some goals are not implementing. Why? Because farmers not they are interesting and they are not. They are, for example, they cultivate the different types of crops. They are not getting in the minimum support price in the market or in the economy. So that is the some goals are in the back and some goals are in the go to the forwarding, move forwarding. So these goals may vary across the countries. They may also difference in these goals between developed and developing nations. So there are some important initial stage of agriculture development of nation. Self-sufficiency in food might they are occupy the first place in the hierarchical order of the sectoral goals. Their identify of these goals is critical for the formulation of food agriculture policy. So in this, first thing is the first important goal is the self-sufficiency food. So in country over 1 billion population, the goals of achieving self-sufficiency in food cannot be ignored. India is faced severe food crisis before independence, and also during the first decade of economic planning. So they are consequently adopted a bold policies to achieve self-sufficiency in a food. So at the same time, In self-sufficiency, also they are concentration on the another side also. That is provided high yield variety seeds and subsidized fertilizers, irrigation, and other input along with the price support in India. So they are achieving these are important goals after green revolution period. So self-sufficiency is the very important in the goal of the agriculture. So next, livelihood security. Livelihood security is also they are providing the direct employment to the three-fifths of the country's workforce and livelihood security to more than 650 million people. They are engaged in this agriculture sector. So this is government support and incentive to the farmers, especially those having small and marginal holding. Trade intervention in terms of import tariff and restrictions to have to remove and reducing in these livelihood securities. So next goal is the income generation. So this is the most important goal in the agriculture sector. So the economic idea of earlier economists, they are including Adam Smith and another different economist. We find that agriculture was considered as a source for generating surpluses, labor saving, foreign exchange, etc., for the development of industrial sector. So this is the non-agriculture sector. Therefore, the basic goal of agriculture in current milieu, where farmers in several religion country are committing suicide, should be income and profit generation. The supply of a cheap raw material to the agro industries. So in how much time and how long time they have to provide very cheap rate to the raw material to the agriculture, so that can be produce different types of goods and services. So when they are producing different types of goods and services, automatically the agricultural marketing is extended, and they can provide the more employment, more income, and they have to expand the our economy have to the global economy. So that is another important goal of the in agriculture. So multifunctional goal is the it is the provide the huge subsidy for their farmers under the permissible blue box of the achieving this goal. So agriculture subsectors. So this is the one agriculture sector side, and another one is agriculture subsector. In there are two important agriculture subsectors. That is horticulture and sericulture, and livestock and poultry, and fishery and agroforestry. So there are horticulture and compressed fruits, vegetables, ornamental crops are flowers, medicinal and harmonic and crops, and spices and tea, coffee, and other plantation crops. Livestock including includes production of dairy and meat products and wools, including byproducts like hides and skins, and poultry farming consists of eggs and fisheries include fish, shrimps, and sea other food products. So overall, the contribution of agriculture in total GDP has drastically they are declining during the last 2 decades. The contribution of these subsectors in the total agriculture GDP has increased. So these products are permissible in the nature, and therefore need effective and market linkage between the producer and final consumers. So agriculture subsector, there also there are important goals in the development in the these subsectors in the agriculture. So that is horticulture and livestock. So there are different types of component, that is inputs. So agriculture input is very important function of land, labor, seeds, fertilizer, plantation production, irrigation, machinery, their availability of good quality. and affordable prices not only for improves the productivity, so they are also reduce the cost of cultivation and thereby makes possible the supply of agricultural products. So in this land, seed and chemical fertilizers and farm implements, irrigation, so farm credit, these are all things are the inputs of the agriculture sector. So these are the different types of the components of the agricultural process. These are all side. So government they have to provide more and more facilities. So in the rural areas, automatically they are achieving and development of the agriculture sector. Modern agricultural farm system can be developed. So another one is incentives. So who are interested and who are moving forward, so that farmers we have to give some incentives. So when we have to give these incentives, automatically one by one they are inspiring or all are they are participating in the different types of agricultural activities. So incentives are given to the agriculture sector to achieve their different types of objectives. So that is government encourage the farmers to enhance production, productivity of a different crops, agro industries, agro business, and processing companies also get their incentive government for making investment in various agricultural related activities. So this is the investment incentive side. So that is investment in agriculture. So investment in agriculture, they are come from the two sources. One is the public, another one is the private. So the purpose of investment in agriculture is to generate capital in the form of infrastructure, improvement in quality of natural resources, assets, creation of productive asset for promoting long run growth and improving efficiency in the production and marketing. So private sector investment in agriculture has increased significantly over the last 2 decades. So the private sector investment depends on a great deal on public investment in power, road, irrigation, research and extension. So in this, they are estimate the velocity of private gross capital formation in agriculture with respect to the public investment in irrigation and power side also. So their private investment is very compared to the public investment. So why? Because they are always they're seeing in the profit motive and they cannot give the social benefit of the society. So government they are declining the share of the private investment. They are improving in the public investment in the development of the agriculture sector in the allied sectors. So another important thing is the component is the regulation and controls. India practice a patient farming system of agriculture, which is done by different categories of farmers. That is large, medium, small, or marginal. So under different ownership of patterns as a agriculture is way of life in rural India and support the livelihood of over 70% of rural people. It is subjected to various regulations and controls. So these regulation restrictions the movement of agriculture goods across the states, empower the government to intervention in the agriculture market, control the import and export, and make public procurement of agricultural commodities. So all India market is fragmented. Traders are required to get license for trading of goods. So their agricultural produce market commodity act, agriculture commodity control order, and there are different types of these rules and regulation they have to liberalize. When they have to liberalize, automatically they are ready to exporting our product to the in our domestic to the another nations. So This is the very important component to remove in the policy side. So recent policies on regulations and controls. So these are the amendment to make them compatible to the going process of liberalization, privatization, globalization in Indian economy. These conditions related to agriculture are new, different from that during pre-green revolution and green revolution period. Today, productivity and profitability and efficiency are the major issue that can be tackled through the active participation of private corporate sectors. So, at the another important component of in this policy is the center state roles. So, these roles are the very important development of the in our economy agriculture sector. So that is agriculture is the state subject, and its development largely depend on the willingness and the capacity of the state governments to make investment in agriculture, in infrastructure, research and development, irrigation, power, roads, and marketing, insurance, and storage facilities. And the capacity of state government to invest depends on its revenue generation ability that actually is the function of growth in the net state domestic product. Further, there benefits the economic reforms. They have to distribute across the states and region these high growth of the roles. So these NSF recommends that agriculture should be brought into the concurrent list. The constitution show that prices, production, diversifications, etc. Uh, Let us conclude that the identification of agriculture sector goals is critical for formulation of an agriculture appropriative policy. So, in case of Indian agriculture, the self-sufficiency in food, livelihood security, income generation, supply of cheap raw material is the agro processing units are the primary goals. So, these are the very important goals of the at the time of independence right to now. So, conservation of land and water resources, production of natural environment, and biodiversity, provision of safe and high quality food, preservation of rural landscape and heritage, socio-economic and cultural development of rural areas could be the other goals. There are two important subsectors of agriculture are horticulture and livestock. That is, they are over the 50% of agriculture GDP. They have to support these policies, support to develop the marketing, insurance, storage facility are required to encourage the farms to farmers diversifying their farming towards these products. So there are timely availability of good quality inputs to the farmers, their affordable price, not only to improve the productivity but also reduce the cost of cultivation, and thereby makes possible to supply of agriculture product as a competitive price to consumer and raw material to the agro industries. The purpose of investment in agriculture is to generate capital in the form of infrastructure, that is improvement in quality of natural resources and assets, and the creation of productive asset for promoting long run growth and improving efficiency, production and distribution and marketing. So these are the important components and objective goals and options of the policy. So process of policy formulation in agriculture also very important. So there are different types of ingredients, the policy formulation they are using. So that is information and database, in-depth analysis of data and information, and actors and stakeholders and capacity building, creation of policy network, and resource competitiveness and risk and trade-offs. There are some important steps to formulation of the policies process, that is policy agenda and articulation of vision statement, and what are the policy goals, and policy objectives, and preparation of time schedule, and preparation of some draft policy of the documents. So these things are the very important. Okay, so today we have to seen in the there are three important aspects, that is agriculture policy and its instruments, and second one is agriculture sector goals and policy options, and another one is process of policy formulation in agriculture. Okay, so these three are the very important in agriculture policy. Okay, so tomorrow we have to see what are the policy implementation, how they are monitoring, how they are evaluation, and what are the participatory approach to agricultural policy process, and what are the global experiences. So, and what are the policy failure and analysis, so, and the governance and policy. So you can see in the tomorrow, so these 4 points. So now we have to start with the doubts. Is there any doubts today session?
Sir, I want to ask.
So,
Yeah.
Sir, I want to ask if Indian government has taken up any policy for sustainable agriculture.
Yes.
Yes, and
Uh,
then can you please name few of those?
um, Now, government, there are different types of the policies they are announcing. So at the time of the independence and right now, so everything have a sustainable schemes and policies. So in different points of things. So that is micro irrigation funds, and e-norm, and atal yojanas, and a national mission for sustainable agriculture, and national schemes for welfare of the fishermen, and different not for agriculture and allied sector also. So these are the some important sustainable agriculture policies.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
sir, I had a question
Yes.
regarding the agriculture subsidies that our government is providing to the farmers and the WTO norms that India has to follow. How are we navigating through those since a lot of the subsidies are, according to the WTO, not to be given for fair trade and like, equal platform to make an equal platform?
Yes. So when they have to reach in the one equal platform, so in that time they have to provide these subsidies. So when they have to reach in the equal platform, the WTO region, automatically they are self-sustainable. They have to develop in the WTO. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Uh, is there any questions today class? No questions? Oh, okay. Tomorrow we have to see what are the policy implementations and how they are monitoring and evaluation, and some policies they are failure, why their policies are failure. So what are the governance and these policies are important in the development of agriculture? Okay, you can see in the tomorrow. Okay, same time, and we have to attend. Okay, so we have to clarify self assessment, how they are where we have to submit, Shamboli.
Yes, sir. Where we are supposed to submit it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
actually I couldn't join the class at the very beginning, so I
Yes, I'm
missed
telling.
the. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Tomorrow we have meet in same time.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.